After a 6-month investigation, GB News presenter Dan Wootton was cleared of any alleged criminal behavior. The Metropolitan Police have said they are taking no further action against the broadcaster. So congrats, Dan, you were found innocent. I always was careful to not declare you guilty. It's just sad you couldn't do the same thing. And I need you all to realize that while you want him to report on Harry and Meghan and you applaud what he does in that subject, this man is still a hypocrite. And it's time that he hopefully learns from his own experience that he needs to right some wrongs. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. Now, let me just say, like I said when I reported these allegations that came from, Dan Wootton was innocent until proven guilty, and now he's been declared innocent because they could not prove him guilty. So kudos to you, Dan. We'll see if GB News brings him back, if he's allowed to get his job back. I never, ever, ever want to employ a world that is trial by social media. And what happened to him seems like it was wrong. I can't deny any of that. He's made a statement bringing this up, and I want to read this statement, but then I want to call out the hypocrisy in Dan's statement. And I hope you'll hear me out, because I know this is an unpopular opinion with a lot of you, because you love what he does with his coverage with Harry and Meghan. And I agree. I like his coverage of Harry and Meghan. I think he's very truthful and all that. But hear me out. Please give me the moment. Let's read Dan's statement, and I'm going to explain why I'm still very frustrated and why I hope Dan will come on this show or any show to address this. Dan, please, let's right this wrong already. Here's his statement. I was brought up to trust in the English legal system, to believe in freedom due to due process, natural justice, and the rule of law, the right of every man or woman to a fair trial, and the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. But since July 2023, I was the victim of a politically motivated witch hunt through the left wing and social media led by a hard left activist, a convicted phone hacker, a convicted extortionist, and a deranged and abusive ex who had threatened on the record to slit my throat and previously admitted to being a psychopath with dark urges. The accusations made against me were completely spurious, lies designed to destroy my career, were complaints were actuated by malice. Well, 6 months on, I have now been completely cleared in 2 investigations by the Metropolitan and Scottish Police, who have confirmed that they will be taking no further action. While I knew this would always be the outcome, the process is now the punishment, with social media acting as the executioner. Margaret Thatcher once said that if you ever get trial by media or guilt by association, that day freedom dies. She was right. It is high time that all our ancient rights were once again upheld, chief among them the right to be presumed innocent until found guilty in a court of law. If it falls to me to be the champion of those rights, then so be it. It is a fight I am more than willing to take up, not just for me, but for all of us. Now look, Dan, in theory, I applaud this type of speech. I just wish you had done it in your whole career. Now, I know you're a changed man because you were wrongfully accused. Great. Let's actually use that then and hopefully right the wrongs of the own trial by media that you have done to destroy people's lives, because you've done it. You've done it. And look, I applaud all these people. I love these people. Taz, Lady C. I love that everyone's excited about this. Everyone's really ready. He's going to go take a lawsuit against Byline Times. And great. I support this. Go do what you got to do. I'm not against any of this. He's been through professional hell last year. False allegations are horrific. I wish him nothing but luck. So if you really believe all this, guys, then I want to see the same energy here. Because Dan Wootton destroyed Johnny Depp's career. Johnny Depp had to fight back against all odds with the media corruption, a lying leftist Amber, the Me Too movement. Dan Wootton was there like trying to punch him into the ground. It was despicable what this man did to Johnny Depp. And the UK trial that Johnny fought tooth and nail was so corrupt, they wouldn't even let him have an appeal. Even though new rulings came in, that the judge's rulings were off base, they got more evidence that actually was very important. The judge didn't care. The judge is like, I believe her. I believe the woman. Well, guess who didn't believe the woman? A jury. They awarded him $15 million in damages because the truth did prevail. Johnny Depp wasn't a WB, as Dan keeps to this day saying he was. And I'm sorry, guys, just because I like his reporting on Harry and Meghan, I can't just forget this. I can't forgive and forget that this man was going to destroy an innocent man's life. Johnny Depp was an innocent man who Dan Wootton decided to put all over the headlines and label a WB because he was friends with Amber Heard. Dan, this is despicable. You are the person that just went against it, tried to destroy your life. You have done the same thing. Now, until you're ready to finally address and admit and take accountability for this, I'm sorry, sir, I cannot take you seriously. You are just rallying up the base, using your Harry and Meghan audience to support you no matter what. I believe you were wronged. I do. But Dan, I'm not going to let you just get away with this. I'm sorry. Accountability is important. And I hope you'll have my back on this. I don't want to just hate the man. I'm not going to just try to destroy this man, but I want someone to have the guts to confront him on television and ask him to double down on his thoughts on Johnny Depp. Now, this is a complicated topic for Dan because I imagine there would be legal repercussions to finally admitting, well, yeah, no, it wasn't the case. Because this lawsuit in the UK wasn't against Amber. It was against Dan's paper. Dan was the editor. Dan put the headline out, and then Dan tried to defend it. This wasn't a trial against Amber. When a trial was actually put against Amber to get to the truth as to whether Johnny beat her, guess what happened? She was found that she defamed Johnny by a jury. So Dan, I'm sorry. Who are you going to believe? The jury, the evidence, or your friend Amber? Which is it? Now, I understand maybe in the moment you want to say you believed her, you wanted to believe women. Fine, great. That was then. Let's talk about now, my man. Now that you have been wrongfully accused, now that you have gone through this hell, this professional hell, which I'm not doubting. I've been through it too, Dan. I've been wrongfully accused myself. It is not something I would wish on my worst enemy. But I hope this opens up your eyes to do the right thing because you've done that before and I gave you credit. Dan Wootton's apparently friends with Dan Reed, the despicable filmmaker behind Leaving Neverland, who is financially motivated to ensure that the accusers in that documentary are displayed as truth tellers. And Dan was out there destroying Michael Jackson's career. As I know a lot of you still are, and this is another topic I'm very passionate about because I've done the homework and I'm going to continue to. And over this year, you're going to see a lot more. And I think I'm going to really affect some minds on this one as you actually look at the evidence, which Dan didn't do. Dan admitted this when Megyn Kelly confronted him on the show.
Take a look at the Michael Jackson, quote, documentary, which was nothing of the kind, Finding Neverland.
Now, this man's nodding in agreement now. This is must-read interview from the director who suffered death threats like me. We all have, Dan. Welcome to the world of journalism. Like, if you haven't gotten a death threat at this point, it feels like, well, then you're not anybody. But sorry, you were a promoter of this false documentary. You just bought it hook, line, and sinker because at the time it was what everybody was doing. But now look what Megyn pushes this.
And guess what we saw? If you took 1 minute to dig, you found out that one of the main
Dan didn't take a minute to dig, Megyn. You perhaps didn't know that, but I applaud you, Megyn, for fighting this and being truthful.
Accusers in that had lied under oath in a civil litigation against Michael Jackson about writing a book again about him, and only got caught when Michael Jackson's estate lawyers went to all the publishing houses and found the draft document, the draft book that had been submitted by this guy. He lied when asked by the Michael Jackson lawyers, did you ever submit a book? No, never. You never heard about that, did you? Because the media wouldn't report on that. They just want.
Look at him nodding in agreement again. Oh, his friend it's a must watch with Dan Reed. It's a must watch. Now, to Dan's credit, he's going to finally change his tune.
To condemn Michael Jackson.
And I think that's a really good example. Yeah, and I think that documentary is a really good example, Megyn, because I was completely snookered by it. I was taken in. I took it on face value. And I have huge regrets about that now, Megyn. And so all I'm concerned about is that was Channel 4, this is Channel 4. In this case, the accusers, I think it's important that we don't describe them as victims or survivors because at this point they are accusers.
Accusers is the right word.
And they are anonymous, Megyn. From what we're told, Channel 4 also didn't provide the names of the accusers to Russell Brand. I agree with you.
Right, but let's face it,
a lot of
Dan,
this stuff is terrible. Of course it's terrible.
Anyway, so he's trying to he's now realizing he's caught. And to his credit, he owned it. He should have done a whole video about it. He has a nightly show. He could have taken over and said, tonight I'm retracting my statements. he did it in an off-base comment that didn't get seen by a lot of people. That's what's frustrating, but he changed his mind. It's time to get someone, and Dan, have the guts to come here. I will be respectful. The fans want to hear from you. A lot of fans aren't going to forgive you. Johnny Depp fans are never going to forgive you. Johnny Depp may never forgive you. That's not my place to help that. However, the first step to recovery, Dan, is admit you were wrong. Admit you were wrong about Amber Heard. Just admit that. Admit you didn't have all the information. Come on, somewhere. Have the guts to do it. Because we all deserve redemption. We do. But in order to fully get it, in order for us to finally, to potentially fight for the rights, the champion of those rights of presumed to be innocent till guilty, well, Dan, I'm sorry. What is this? What was this? You believed her, and you then said it as a editor of a magazine, declared him something that he's not. And then a UK court didn't even let him appeal it. They refused it as he applied, and it had all the evidence there, that UK trial, and then the judge just retired. And it's like, whoop, sorry. Yeah, UK system. Sorry, UK viewers. That was a travesty of justice. Thankfully, a jury heard it. Thankfully, a jury awarded him, and they found that, yeah, Amber Heard, not the son, Amber Heard defamed him. So what does that mean towards the son, Dan? You are now incorrect. Your witness was lying. Come clean. If you want true redemption from this cancellation that you've suffered, which I believe you have, I do, it's time to come clean, Dan. And I hope we will all apply some respectful pressure on him to tell the truth. That's all I'm asking for. And I hope you'll hear me out. I hope you heard me out. And I hope you agree. And I hope we share this same kind of energy when we're out there applauding him, that we don't just be blinded due to his reporting certain coverage that we like, which I'm not saying Lady C is. I'm just saying I love that we're out here trying to prove this. And I very well agree with Lady C that this was probably a hit piece. I'm sure it was, just like they did to Johnny, Dan. So again, help us be able to come to trust you again by going back and correcting the stories that were false, that you had a big part in, because you don't get to be the arbitrator of that. You don't get to be the champion of those rights when you yourself, sir, have not followed those rights. So, Dan, what's it going to be? I hope and enjoy it. Hit me up, man. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit me up. I would love to have a real civil conversation with you. It would do wonders, I think, to the Johnny Depp community, to the Meghan and Harry community, to the whole world in general, and learning that we can be wrong, that we can be men and correct ourselves. And I hope you will consider it, sir. Please, let's do this conversation. What do you think? Would you like to see that? Would you like to hear Dan finally correct the record on this if he wants to champion these rights? I want to hear your thoughts. Before you get there, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and let me know what you think. When you guys love Dan and you hear me fighting back, now you understand why. I can't just forgive and forget that. I hope you understand and respect that. I want to hear what you think, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be live later today. Appreciate all you guys so much. And stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet.